Welcome to Greek for a Week. We are beginning a new paragraph this week. We are going to be looking at chapter 3, specifically verse 8 this week. And the new paragraph is verses 8 through 12. And I've entitled this particular paragraph Unity and Harmony, or I should say Unity and Love. And this particular paragraph is where Peter basically begins his transition from a more specific exhortation to a more general, or you could say including all of the recipients' exhortation for them. So if we begin and we look at verse 8, we can translate now, finally, all be like-minded, sympathetic, brotherly, compassionate, humble. So this particular verse, there's a few things going on that I'd like to describe, which is why I singled out verse 8, and then the rest of the way we'll look at 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12. So we'll be able to complete this paragraph in a few weeks here. So you'll begin to look at the de here in verse 8. And this de is I've translated it as now. It's really what would be considered the next step in the argument from verse 7. And again, it's what I mentioned, going from a specific exhortation to a more general, or the responsibilities of all. It's a general exhortation. Then he uses the telos. You could say this is finally. You could also say to summarize the matter. So this serves really as a marker of conclusion, again, to the preceding discussion or the preceding context. I don't think what he's saying here is, okay, here's the conclusion of the entire text. That's obvious when you have two more chapters in this letter, but this is a marker of conclusion for this particular section. Then you have the word pantes, and the word pantes I translated all. You could say all of you for to smooth it out for English sense here. But each of these words that follow pantes would be considered predicate adjectives. And what most of the commentaries and most of your grammars have suggested is that these predicate adjectives here, all of these in brackets that modify pantes, they would be considered imperatival, which simply means that they carry a commanding function even though they are adjectival. So you could say all of you are, and then you can go ahead, are to be like-minded, are to be sympathetic, and so forth. And so as we work our way through here, you have the hamaphranes. Here is our first predicate adjective, and again, those are nominative plural. Each one of these are, and again, they're adjectival. The idea behind this first adjective is one of unity, one of a unity of purpose. So it's not just like-minded that everybody believes the same thing, but that you have a unity of purpose. And that is Forbes. Forbes makes these observations for these predicate adjectives, and he wrote in the Exegetical Guide to the Greek New Testament. He also says about the next one, the sympathes, that is sympathetic or understanding. The philadelphoi, that is, you could say, having a mutual affection for. And again, it's not surprising that Peter would use that term, given the social cohesion that he is asking for of these recipients, especially within the environment that we find for 1 Peter. The splagnoi, that would be tender-hearted, that would be compassionate. And then your last one there, your tape naphranes. Here, this would serve as your virtue of humility, or he's asking that they be humble. So these predicate adjectives, remember, a predicate adjective is that kind of an adjective that makes a statement about a noun. So an attributive adjective attributes a quality to a particular noun. Well, each one of these here, moving forward in these, I should say, in this set of brackets, all of these are predicate adjectives, so they make a statement about pontes, which when you make a statement about something using a predicate adjective, you include the word is, or in this case, we would use the word are, given the plural nature of the subject pontes. So, trust that has been helpful. That's how Peter moves the discussion forward from verse 7. He begins here by concluding the matter, using the concept of unity and love and the imperatival predicate adjective. Have a great week. See you next week to look at verses 9 and 10.